as we often say in many things, including baseball, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Right now, we have no idea who's going to start the year at shortstop. We have no idea who's going to end the year at shortstop. It might not be the same guy, but we're going to figure that out on today's Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am not a fan of spring training.
Boo.
The only thing worse than spring training is the World Baseball Classic. What is better in both of those things is PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon. Uses the code all lowercase, locked on MLB for our first deposit match up to $100. Other things that are better, getting the flu, having a cold. It's bad baseball. Like, I can't get into bad baseball.
There's sunshine in Arizona.
I don't know what this sunshine is you speak of.
I do. It's all over my body from sunburn.
But no, for me, it just, I don't know. It's guys. It's important reps. It's working on development. It's working often on, mechanics, and
Jeff,
we've seen a lot of pitchers with development, but it is. Listen, when I was go ahead. It was fun because someone commented on here, and I agree with one of our commenters. I should have looked up the name so I could give him credit. One of our everydayers, but as a kid, it was the only time I really got to see minor league players. So like that was cool. Like this is the time to get to hear those guys, to see those guys you'd heard about. So yeah, that was fun. God, it was like I remember. I comment below if anyone else remembers watching like Sports Time Ohio as a kid, and they had like essentially like scrolling like stories. Like they wouldn't have a video. It's like you could read what was going on, and they'd have stats up, or just it was like having just every 5 seconds it would switch to the next little slide. It was like a slideshow on the television. Does anyone else remember that?
I do not. You would have enjoyed watching players in the backfield just playing catch or taking outfield drills. I think you would have enjoyed that. Not actual games, but practice, is Allen Iverson.
You're talking about practice?
I watched a lot of practice. I think you would have enjoyed it too. My wife said I was a kid in a candy shop. I was really just watching guys play catch, take grounders, take fly balls, and stretch. Like it was just.
And then the Guardians came and said, "No one's allowed to watch our players," and removed you from the premises.
That's right. No,
that's
we don't want you to be interested in our team at all. We would hate that.
Don't give us coverage. Don't talk to our players. Don't.
All right, and we're going to be canceled real soon. Let's talk about.
What can they do? At this point, we're already so far off their radar that like they're going to tell us that we can't talk to any. Oh, that's right. We don't have anyone to talk
about our team. We're gonna embargo you from talking about the team. Still have no idea who's going to play shortstop. So we're doing our position player preview today on shortstop. We did catcher last week.
Not me. That was a position I never played. I was never the best player on my team as a kid, so I never played shortstop.
I was nowhere near shortstop. I was the guy turning doubles into singles, so no chance.
I was definitely in a corner outfield spot for most of my youth baseball.
The Who's on First skit says I don't care is on shortstop. I'm guessing Stephen Vogt definitely cares who's at short. I have no idea who is starting the year at shortstop. I'm going with Brian Rocchio. But that's just a feel thing. Like I don't have a whole lot behind it. Like I think he looks fine defensively from what I've seen, and his at bats have been better than Arias. But I could also see a situation where like Rocchio plays some short, and then Arias gets in there against right-handers, and Rocchio sits, and you move maybe Arias plays some outfield, but they already have other shortstops playing outfield. Like it's kind of messy, and this is exactly what we were all worried about last year when they continued to play Ahmed Rosario, who, by the way, is playing right field now for the Tampa Bay Rays and other random positions. Instead of kickstarting this experiment early, and they never traded anybody, and now these guys are here and they need an opportunity, and no one knows what they're doing and who's going to play. I'm going to go with Rocchio right now. I just think that's the way it feels performance-wise, like who's looked the best and who seems to have an edge. But I don't know. I could also see them saying, like, let's give Arias like a little more run and see what can happen, because the only thing he can't do is hit shortstops. Like, let's be honest, or hit shortstops. He is a shortstop. I hope he can hit shortstops. The only thing he can't do is hit left-handers. Everything else he does well, right? Like, he hit right-handers great. Defense is great. It's just that one thing against lefties. So I don't know. Now I'm convincing myself it's going to be Arias, because that's just one. You don't see a lot of lefties, so like it's just one minor piece of the puzzle that Arias can do. Maybe he can. I don't know. It seems like it's worth looking one more shot at him, because it is just one small piece.
Yeah, I think Arias is the guy. He's the better defender of the two. He's got power that he can tap into. And I'll bring it up again. His data last year, I pulled up a 119 weighted runs created plus versus righties. That's exceptional. That would have been second or third best on the team. I think that he's
behind the Nailers and Jose.
Hey, at least. I mean, that's an exceptional 119 is very good. -11 against lefties. And I was gonna go pull up. I know, especially with everyone getting excited, I wanted to see more of Ty Freeman. I'm just going to go ahead and get myself in trouble and say I think it's silly if you think that anything that's happening with Ty Freeman is going to affect Straw's contract stuff, but that's a thing for another day. If they were moving on, they would have moved on like they moved on with Segura. But I think, Freeman is also a righty. I know his splits data isn't always great in the minors against lefties, right? But hey, maybe that's the thing. A Freeman, Arias platoon with Freeman also then having the ability to occasionally be someone in the outfield. And then that way you get Freeman more reps. You let Arias do what he does best, which was, again, a 119. That's really good. That's almost 20% better in league average. I would kill for that type of production at shortstop. We've been used to 97s to 100, which is just about average. So if you do that, you put him with Freeman. That way you're getting Freeman more reps as well, which is what everyone wants. He's a fan favorite. But yeah, and then Rocchio can go continue to work on a few things at AAA, and you're sure that he's playing every day. And if Gabby can't reproduce what he's doing against righties, then Rocchio's down there. Now the downside is, Rocchio would qualify you for a draft pick if he could win Rookie of the Year. I just don't think he has a profile that's going to necessarily lead to that. But hey, if everyone else has a down year and he plays well.
Yeah, I just don't know what Rocchio works on at AAA. That's the problem with this battle is all three of these guys, if you want to throw Tyler Freeman into the mix, none of them have anything left to prove in AAA. Cleveland, they need to see what they have in all three of these guys. And this goes back to the original point. This is what everybody was concerned about when they kicked the can down the road on this middle infield thing is they stuck with Rosario too long and they never made a trade. They never decided, okay,
we're going to trade Rocchio. I think the rest of the league just viewed him as a backup, and they thought, well, he's a borderline starter. We can't get it enough to make it worth the deal. And unfortunately,
I mean they never found trade interest, I guess, to their liking. To be fair, they are very stingy when it comes to trading, as we know. So they never found a value proposition, I guess we'll say, to their liking. I don't think
they ever found much. I think we're seeing, the league value has always valued him as a backup, and no one's given up.
I'm not talking about Freeman specifically. I'm talking about all of them.
Oh, I meant a med. I just meant a med. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm not talking about a med. I'm talking about all the prospects. They never found anything. They never found anything in the trade market that they liked for any of the prospects. So yeah, you kept rolling out Amed Rosario, and that's fine. Offensively, it was okay for a while, right? It was like you said, 99 to 102. That's not terrible, but you also got to be better defensively if that's where you're going to be at. And now you do have two options defensively that should be above average. And I no matter who they go with here, I don't know what to think about Arias's issues against left-handers. I want to see more to see if it's a fluke or not, because again, like you said, minor league numbers are hard to project out and see if they translate. But against lefties in the minors, he wasn't awful. He wasn't -11 WRC plus awful, even if he wasn't super above league average. And again, the defense is Gold Glove. He's got more power than Arias and then Rocchio for sure. I think no matter who you start at shortstop, it's an upgrade from last year. I think that's pretty easy to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know what Rocchio, Arias, or even Freeman. I think Freeman makes this roster no matter what. Truthfully, I think he's had a fantastic camp. He just looks really good. I don't know what his role is. We'll keep talking about that, but I just don't know what any of these guys going to AAA is really going to do. That's the problem. Is they're just going to does their value crater in AAA? You're not really going to. I know showcasing is not a thing. Let's be honest about that. But if you are to trade one of these guys, the value is going to be better in a trade if they can play in the majors and show something, and you decide you're going to keep one or the other. It's just I don't know. It's. I don't want to say it's like if you have two QBs, you have none, but both these guys I think can play. It's just a matter of you don't have room for both of them, and you got to do something with the other one. And you don't want to make the wrong decision. And I don't think either of them have anything left to prove in AAA. That's the problem. So,
yeah,
we haven't decided anything.
I mean, I still think it's Gabby, and the only reason I say that is just because of the situation where they're in currently. He's got a little more proven, and Rocchio's call up was not the best a year ago. Again, it was the smallest of sample sizes. You can't hold that against him. But Gabby did have some coaches. Proven results. Mm-hmm. So that's I'm just going with proven results here. And I know there are people who absolutely are going to hate on this, who are not the biggest fans of his, but at the same time, like the numbers also show a guy who was productive. So I'm going to go with some level of productivity, especially when there's potential with power, because boy, this team could use power.
Even if he's like an 80 WRC plus against lefties, like that's still fine, because then he's still going to be somewhere in the middle offensively, and with his defense, it's even better.
Yep.
Let's see if he can improve. All right, so we have to talk about, is there somebody else in the mix at shortstop? Can somebody move over there who isn't playing there now? We have to talk about who is going to end the year at shortstop, who's going to get the most playing time, and then we'll talk about some prospects, and if we have time, we'll get to some shortstop draft possible prospects as well. Well, you can watch some of those guys on an Amazon Fire TV. I have a Fire Stick. I think Amazon makes a great product for this too. There's a lot of functionality built into the Fire TVs. It's your destination for sports, from live games to highlights, in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences on smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV Stick, which I've had multiple of those at this point, all throughout my house. You can plug into existing TVs that provides access to millions of movies, TVs, as well as free and live TV, whether it's opening weekend for baseball, college basketball tournaments are starting this week, conference tournaments. Soon we'll have March, the basketball tournament coming up. You're going to want to have a Fire TV for that. They recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On. So if you have an Amazon Fire TV, you can watch us, our beautiful faces, or most of the pro big leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV lets you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on the latest sports of March Madness, NBA, MLB, and more, not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you absolutely should. To learn more, visit amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Some hot takes. Fire takes. Should Andres Gimenez be the guy to move to shortstop? We just talked about how we don't even know if Rocchio Arias is gonna, be the option. Obviously, to start the year, it's gonna be one of those, we think. But in the long term, do we think that Andres Gimenez should be the guy to move over there?
And this is the problem, right? Again, just going back to not figuring their stuff out, not getting this stuff sorted, is Rocchio is an interesting player. Gabby Arias is a centerpiece in the Clevenger deal. And you gave away Nolan Jones, who texted me today, was replaced in the outfield by Bradley Zimmer. Just kind of a fun moment. But you traded for Juan Brito, who maybe he's the second baseman with Jimenez at short, right?
Right.
It's just this problem where they got to start sorting and figuring out and seeing what they have. And I feel like this is kind of the problem we see sometimes with teams where they are good before they're expected to be good. Like if they had been bad the year they made the playoffs, if they had been bad, maybe they move away from Ahmed that year. Maybe there's a little bit more value when it's 1.5 years. maybe some of these young guys get more of a chance, but they were kind of stuck in this in-between ground. And because of that, we just haven't seen everyone. And now we're just kind of, again, stuck in this holding pattern. I mean, I think there is definitely a world where you have Brito and you have Gimenez.
I think that is a very good option. I mean, there's really not a lot of options where Juan Brito can play. It's second base and maybe left field defensively. Or you move Andres Gimenez to shortstop now in preparation for Travis Bazzana at second base, because that could be coming up a lot faster than most people think, hopefully.
And again, I'll state, like you just said with Juan, it's like, okay, if he's not second base, he can play the outfield. Just remember, just about every second baseman, that's the case. Ian Happ was a second baseman in college.
Yeah, Travis Bazzana can play the outfield too, so
I keep getting people who, when we talk about various players, just get focused in on what they play now without like realizing, no, like guys can play other positions. Unless you're like a first baseman, you're probably able to play another position on the diamond.
Yeah, let's be clear too. If getting into a draft talk real quick, if Cleveland does draft Travis Bazzana number 1 overall, they will not be drafting him as a second baseman. They will announce him probably as an outfielder, because no second baseman has ever been taken 1 overall.
Yeah, I mean, he still might get announced as that, because then they also get history with it.
I'd be surprised. That generally just doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't usually happen, but
I mean, it doesn't really. Yeah, I mean, they announced Will Brennan as a two-way guy, and then he never pitched once in the system. So who knows?
Yeah, but that's a very, very different scenario. Speaking of which, I thought it was funny when I was at the Dodgers Guardians game on Friday in Camelback. I had this guy standing next to me saying that Will Brennan had a AA arm, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, you know that." Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if Gimenez moves to shortstop, you are essentially saying, like, okay, both these guys, Rocchio and Arias, are not the future, and it's Brito, and it may be Brito. I don't know, but if that happens so quick, I can't see that happening until late in the year, and I don't even know 162 games. Okay, and you're neither Rocchio or Arias is going to play. I don't think. I mean, I guess we can't rule it out, but I'd be surprised if either one of them gets 150 games at shortstop or period. I don't think that whatever playing time both those guys do get this year is going to be enough to sit here and say, well, that guy's not it, or it is. Maybe with Arias it is, but for the most part, even with Rocchio, like they, combined with last season, whatever playing time he gets this year, I don't think is going to tell you enough about his future to say, all right, well, we're moving on from that guy, and Arias or Gimenez is going to short, and then we'll open up second base for Brito, whoever, Angel Martinez, whatever. I just feel like that's really quick, and Cleveland keeps saying about how they've moved on too quick from certain prospects and they need to give them more time. So I just don't see Andres moving to shortstop this year, because there's not going to be enough time to evaluate Arias and Rocchio to do that. I don't think they'll get enough answers in time to say that, okay, let's move on. Let's move Andres to short and figure something else out.
I mean, the honest to goodness truth is I don't think they move him because, I mean, Brito might be the first baseman, or not first base, the DH of the future with this team. He's not great at second, and with Naylor's health and the unlikelihood of them to extend him because of his health, like I'm not saying they're planning as him to be Naylor replacement, but that just might end up being his natural role. I know this is supposed to be the shortstop show, and I'm going the other way, but I think you're right. It's like you got two guys who've been well thought of as shortstop prospects. You gotta give, like, listen, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I believed in Yu Chen Chang. I had him as a top 5 prospect at one point in the system, and he never really got a look here. But he was never the level of prospect that Arias and that Rocchio are. And yeah, there's. I think part of the reason I am a little lower on Rocchio is he's like 50s across the board at best. He's not a guy with any. He's not going to be a world changer. Where there's a world where Gabby Arias could win a Gold Glove or 2 and also hit 25 home runs. Like, that's why I think I am leaning more that way. And frankly, you have so many infielders. If Gabby Arias can't hit lefties, fine. Like, as long as he's not a -11, but if he stays a -11, still fine. You could have a young guy platoon with him. It's not that it's 80% of the innings per year are against a right-handed pitcher. It's a very 20% of the time you have whoever who's your backup infielder / platoon mate, and you can live with that. So Again, if he can replicate and be anywhere near 119, then that's his position to me. And Rocchio maybe turns into trade bait. I don't know. Does Keith Law run a team? Does Keith Law run a team? He really likes him. Can we convince?
Let's have him broker a deal between Cleveland and somebody else, right? Because they haven't found a deal they like for any of these middle infielders apparently. Because I'm sure they've had conversations about all of them in a trade. They just haven't found a deal that they like, even though we know they're notoriously hard.
Okay, I got one. Right. Rocchio for Weimer.
Done. Send it in. I will drive to the airport right now and get him on the plane. Boom, Joey Weimer. Answered all.
Maybe we can get a comp pick out of that, right? Like,
sure. Give it to me. I'm in.
Let's do it.
The Brewers have 2 comp picks now.
Yeah,
the Baltimore one, and they have their own. So
which isn't theirs is over second rounders. There we go. Rocchio is a higher thought of prospect, second round comp, and Weimer who's blocked, and there we go.
Hopefully Keith Law has a lot of pull over the Brewers front office to make that.
I'll go. I can drive over tomorrow and talk with them, see what they think.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got this side covered. You got.
Yeah, we'll broker this for them.
All right, look at that. The Guardians won't talk to us though, so hopefully the Brewers will talk to you. We got to talk about who's going to end the year at shortstop, who's going to get the most playing time, and we got to talk about some prospects, and hopefully we'll have time to get into some draft guys as well, all coming up on Locked On Guardians.
PrizePicks. They are one of our newest sponsors. I always enjoy our new sponsors. They are America's largest daily fantasy sports platform. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because it's just you against numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, many using advanced analytics, it's just you and numbers. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And I'm a huge nerd, right? Like right over here. Let's pull it out. All right, I got this hanging out back here. I'm a huge nerd, so I love the fact that they have a feature called Demons and Goblins. Demons are high-risk picks with huge payouts. Definitely dark side of the force, guys, here. They're marked in red, and if you bet 10, you could win up to $1,000. Goblins are more cautious. They help you keep that winning streak alive, keep that winning streak going. If you're into the NBA, you can pick more and less on anything from 3-pointers made to turnovers committed. Again, please don't bet on spring training baseball. You can, but I think you got a problem if you are. So you can pick more or less on pitcher strikeouts and first inning runs. Definitely do it during the season if this is your type of thing, but maybe not right now. So download the app today. Enter the code LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that code is LOCKEDONMLB, one word, lowercase. And get that first deposit match up to $100. Join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Definitely bet on spring training. Let's bet on who ends the year at shortstop, because as we said at the top of the show, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Who is going to be playing shortstop when we end the year?
Ahmed Rosario. He's gonna have a good start for the Rays, and they're gonna do a trade, and they'll trade Kyle Manzardo for him. And should I just go?
Because they're rolling in the back.
Should I go?
Thanks for listening, everybody.
I think it's gonna be Gabby. Thanks. I'm gonna stick with my original thought. You do need some degree of balance to line up. They need more power. He showed last year he could hit. I don't know if he's going to be a full-time. I'm going to go with the Freeman Arias platoon. I think they lock it in.
I'm going to go with Rocchio. He ends up being the safer guy. This team, now I'm changing my mind. I don't know. I'm so back and forth on this. I'm going to say all right, I'll say the end of the year it's Arias. I'll say it's Arias. You're right. I said at the top of the show that, it's only left-handers that he can't hit. Like, that's one small piece of the equation. He does everything else fine. If he can learn to hit left-handers. I don't know if they can do enough to teach him to learn to hit left-handers, but
can they lock him and Naylor in a room and just have Josh do what he did?
Figure something out. So do we agree then that Arias ends up getting the bulk of the playing time this year at shortstop?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, then.
I said I like having proven data, and I like having a guy who performed well. As much as people get so mad about the dude, he performed well. It was just lefties brought it all down, and he faced a lot of lefties because they kept running him out there to die.
Right. Yeah. Maybe limit his exposure and try to build up his confidence a little bit, and maybe sit him against certain lefties, and then throw him out there against some other ones just to see if he can do it, and then hopefully just build up some reps. I don't know. Adrian Martinez is probably having one of the better spring trainings, and not just by stats. Obviously, Jeff and I are not talking about spring training stats, but by all accounts, and I saw him play, he is hitting the ball hard. It's a lot of fly balls, a lot of line drives. The swing looks good. I don't know that he can play shortstop.
He can't.
I think he can. The thing is,
he plays it like Tyler Freeman. It's like he's fine in a pinch, but I don't think you want to run him out there. If you're running him out there every day, it's like having a Med out there, right? You're gonna get below average.
I don't think he'll be as bad as a Med defensively. But again, I keep going back to that. Last year, Cleveland did not play him at shortstop in the minors. He made most of his playing time at second and third. So the fact that he was not getting priority, because in the minors, Cleveland does not prioritize winning in the minors at all. And if that were the case, if they don't care, if Angel Martinez,
there's some small degree of it though. Like having spent time down there, I know they do like guys to get in that postseason crunch. They do like having them get that postseason experience.
It's not the number one priority though.
It's not the highest, but they'll move guys around to get them postseason experience. I think that has value.
Well, once they get there, but I'm saying if they really wanted Angel Martinez to get a lot of experience at shortstop and be the primary shortstop and exhaust the option there, he would have played short. But
yes,
majority of that playing time last year did not go to him at AA. He ended up playing 44 games at second and only 28 at shortstop. So he played much more second base. If they really wanted to develop him as a shortstop more, I think he would have gotten priority playing time there over whoever else. So that tells me Cleveland doesn't think he is a future shortstop. I think he is a guy who is a second base / third base who can play short, which is the same as Tyler Freeman for the most part. But he's having a great camp. I did drop him a little in my rankings this season.
Same.
I will say. But he made the swing adjustment. We saw the article on the swing adjustment that he's made. He's looked good. I'm willing to say that this could be like a Bo Naylor situation where he had a down year last year and then he rebounds in a big way this year and makes everybody look silly for dropping him like Bo Naylor did. That's kind of where I'm at. But I don't know if he is a shortstop. That's the only thing.
I mean, I don't know. I like the swing change, but I did the write up of Prospects Live for him, and there's a lot of data that was not great. So I just, it's great he's having a fantastic spring. There's a 0% chance he makes this team.
Oh no, he's not making the open day roster.
He's probably going to play second base in AAA, and I think this is probably the highest we'll speak of him all year.
I don't think he'll play second in AAA. I think he'll play
back to Akron
a little more short because you'll have Juan Brito down there. So
Brito
cannot play shortstop.
No.
So that won't be happening. Other guys to watch for in minors this year. Obviously, there's Khalil Watson, who is getting some reps in the outfield. I heard that he is going to play all the spots. So we're talking second, short, third, and center. So they're going to move him around a lot. But he is moving to the outfield a little bit, which is good because I think his future is in the outfield.
Center field is his future.
Yeah. Angel Janelle, a lot of people really like him.
Down year.
See flashes. Yeah, you could see the flashes last year. He's still young, needs to gain strength a little bit. So we'll see. He's going to be in Lake County this year. Jose Devers, you and I both liked him last year.
Great second half.
Yeah, he's a little bit older. He's going to go to Lake County as well. Could grow into some more strength. Alex Mooney, Cleveland's betting high on Alex Mooney because of what they paid him in the draft.
Yeah, they gave up on two pitchers to get him. Like they could have walked away from him, or they could have walked away from what we understand, Matt Hewer and the
two
other
pitchers
guy,
who are having
some good starts. So they liked him quite a bit. I mean, they paid him a lot.
Sure did. Christian Knapsick from Louisville, who we heard has some good swing data. Probably not going to grow into a lot of power, but he at least is a guy who has.
Is he going to grow up someday? He's what, 5'2"? 5 foot.
Yeah, he is not getting any bigger.
He was the second. He was like what, second smallest guy in the draft behind Tommy Hawk, who they drafted. They drafted the two smallest in the class, I believe.
Yeah, Christian kind of profiles more of as a utility infielder, but we do know there is
some good batted ball data. We know there are some people who really like his swing approach. It's just it's hard when you're diminutive.
That size, yeah. Weldon Francisco, you could talk about Weldon Francisco. Most people think his future is at second base. The guy I'm really excited about is Rafael Ramirez Jr. I think Rafael is going to outgrow shortstop, though. He is super long-legged and has a really great frame. I just think he's going to outgrow short. He looks fine. He looks like a 19-year-old playing shortstop or 18, but There's a long way to go. I just think physically he is going to outgrow the position, but he should be at Lynchburg this year too, and should be a lot of fun. We're running short on time, but Jeff, we got a bunch of prospects to list through. Obviously, JJ Weatherhold is on the shortstop list for draft this year, but he has not played since early February. That's a disappointment. I think Anthony Silva is probably out of the question, considering he's going to go before 36 and he's not a 1-1 candidate.
I think he's probably off the table. Someone like Bryce Renier might be off the table. Some names I wanted to throw on this list. Colby Branch is a forgotten man in Georgia, transferred from Baylor. But if you're paying attention to, we'll see Charlie Condon, who, by the way, for as much as we're hyping him, look at his Cape data and think about how important that is to Cleveland. But Colby Branch is really interesting there as well. You're in a 2-for-1 with that. I could not find any sign that Rustin Rigdon is related to Paul Rigdon, so don't ask. And then I had to bring up JD Dix. Like I almost worked at the school he goes to. It is one of the ones in my area. Switch hitter, Wake Forest commits. He's a really good prospect, a good hitter. Like he fits the Guardians' approach. I would not be shocked, let me put it this way, by JD Dix with their Comp A pick.
Wow, that high? Okay, interesting. Josh Growler is a guy I kind of like data wise. He's a little bit lower on the list as well. I've heard people talk about Ty Sugasine a ton about his defensive ability. I don't know much about the hitting. I think it's probably a light bat profile, but people love the defense, and Cleveland does love up the middle defense, so I wouldn't be shocked there. You were pushing hard to put Cody Schreier on this list. They liked him in high school.
They liked him a lot.
He is doing much better at UCLA this year, so that's a good sign.
Bad
right?
Developmental program right now.
Right. So if he's improved year over year, that's good for him. If that's a bad developmental program and he's improved year over year, that's good.
There's a chance for some more growth due to that.
Yeah. Kyle DeBarge is on a lot of people's list too. He's an interesting shortstop. Griffo Farrell, Jeff's going to have nightmares about Griffo Farrell because he goes to Virginia.
He might be more of a second baseman than a shortstop.
Yeah, he's playing shortstop this year for the Cavaliers, which I thought was weird. But he's made a change in his stance and his hand placement. And he's getting more power. So I don't know. And then Owen Pano just sounds like also a Guardians type high school pick. So I can guarantee they will probably take one person off this list. What do you think?
Yeah, they're going to take a shortstop, maybe two. We should also find out who are the smaller guys in baseball with good control. And then as we get close to the draft, we can just go and look at the hardest guys to strike out. Tomorrow's show is a little up in the air, if I'm being honest. So you'll have to tune in. It's a mystery to see what's going to happen. But we want to thank you for joining us. Remember to rate and review. Download daily. It helps. I want to thank all of our everydayers. We got so much coming, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all, and go Guardians go.